Good day everyone. In the previous video, we have had a look at what is a savings account. Today we are going to see what are fixed deposits and what are post office time deposits. These are fixed income instruments which are preferred by people who have retired and those who want to have a source of income that is relatively risk free. So we will have a look at this in detail and we will also talk about the pros and cons of each of these instruments. This is the second category of fixed income instruments that we are talking about in this video series. The first one was the savings account, about which we have had a big discussion in the previous video. Now we are going to see what are fixed deposits. The fixed deposits are fixed income instruments which have interest rates that are much higher than the savings account interest rates. And the interest can be paid quarterly or yearly as per the depositor's request. Under special conditions, you can also get monthly interest payments, but you will have to sacrifice a little bit of interest rate for that purpose. Another major advantage of fixed deposits is that it can be used for saving taxes. But these are special types of fixed deposits called tax saver FDs, which we will be talking about later in the video. And obviously, there is a safety net which is provided by the central government because it comes under the deposit insurance scheme if your total investment inside the bank is less than 5 lakh rupees. Please remember, currently the deposit insurance is up to 1 lakh only, but it has been said that this deposit insurance will be increased to a deposit up to 5 lakh rupees. So we expect the instrument to become a lot more safer in the future as well. However, there are a few issues with fixed deposits as we see it today. The major deposit related issue is that you can make the deposit only once. You cannot add to it or you cannot subtract from it. You make the deposit once in lump sum and keep it locked for a fixed duration of time, which is called its tenure. And there is also typically a minimum deposit amount that you may have to pay, which is about 1000 rupees or so. And the third problem that typically takes place is that if you are interested in opening a fixed deposit in any bank, the bank will try to ensure that you also open a savings account with them first. The next major problem that you will have is that you will not be able to deposit or withdraw partially. So there is no option of partial withdrawal of the fixed deposits. You may have to break the FD or you may have to withdraw the entire amount in one go if you want to take out even a little bit of the money. So for example, if you have deposited about 1 lakh rupees in an fixed deposit, if you want to withdraw only 10,000 out of that, it is not possible. You will have to break the FD and then take the entire amount, take the 10,000 out of it and put the back remaining amount as a separate FD. So you cannot use the same FD and withdraw a little bit of money from it. Unfortunately, the second problem associated with premature withdrawal is that you may also have to pay penalty. So there is some penalty also associated with premature withdrawal of money. Another major problem is that the interest earned is typically taxable. However, there is a special category of fixed deposits which are called tax saver FDs, which offer you the facility of getting tax exemptions. Let's have a look at an example on how FDs work. Okay, the problem is this. We have opened an FD with some bank and have been depositing 10,000 rupees on June 30th, and I have chosen a tenure of 1 year. The FD interest rate is 5.3 percentage per annum compounded quarterly. So quarterly the interest rate is calculated and that interest is added to the principal and then it gets compounded. So the terms and conditions of FD say these things about the premature withdrawal. For deposits up to 5 lakh rupees, the penalty will be 0.5% and the interest shall be 1% below the rate applicable at the time of deposit. So if you are withdrawing the amount before the tenure is over, if the amount is up to 5 lakh rupees, you may have to pay a penalty of 0.5% and the interest rate will become less by 1%, whatever was there at the time of deposit. So we have three situations which we will be looking at. You wait till the maturity, that is, you deposit the money, you wait for 1 full year, and then you withdraw the full amount with the interest. This is the best way of dealing with fixed deposit. You do not go for premature withdrawal, you wait for the full term and then you get the money back. The second situation is you wait till maturity but ask for quarterly interest payments. We have already seen this before, that it is possible for us to request for interest payouts at regular intervals. This is especially useful for people who are in the post retirement phase and those who want regular income. So they can put in a lump sum amount of money in the bank account and then ask for quarterly or monthly payments, which they can use for their daily expenses. So we are looking at a scenario like that where you will keep the FD without breaking it, but you will ask the quarterly interests to be given to you rather than leaving it to be compounded. The third situation we will be discussing is we withdraw the money after 6 months, that is before the completion of the term. We will be having a look at how your returns will be impacted by each of these three situations. The formula that we will be using to calculate the total amount that you get at the end of the term or what interest will be accrued is the simple formula for compound interest. So if you look at this formula, A is the amount that you will get at the end of the term, P is the principal which you are investing now, R is the rate of interest, and N is the number of times the interest is calculated per year. Typically, R is given in terms of per annum rate, that is per year, and if your interest is getting compounded quarterly, N will become 4 because you are calculating the interest 4 times a year. So the effective interest rate becomes R by 4 or R by N if you have N number of times the compounding happening. This whole thing is raised to the power of N into T. T is the time of investment, which is typically in years. So these are the terms that you will be using for this compound interest formula, and based on the data that we have, these are the data that we have been given. In the first situation, we are waiting till the maturity. So the total amount received will simply be used by obtained by putting this formula in. So you get 10,000 to 1 plus 5.3 by 100 into 4 to 4 into 1. 100 comes here because we are talking about 5.3%. You cannot use percentage directly, so 5.3 by 100. We are calculating the interest rate 4 times, so n equals to 4. This 4 comes here also and here also. Term is 1 year, so 1. So the total amount that we will get at the maturity is 10,540 rupees and 63 paise. If you look at the second scenario, we wait till maturity but we ask for quarterly interest rate payments, which means that the interest gets paid off quarterly and that interest does not get compounded. So obviously you lose the effect of compounding, and at every quarter you get an interest which is this. So you get 10,000 rupees was the principal into 5.3 is the annual interest rate divided by 100 because it is 5.3 percentage, and we are calculating it 4 times a year, so 4 also comes in the denominator. So you get the total amount as 10,000 into 5.3 by 400, which is 132.5. So every quarter interest of 132.5 gets paid out, and so the total amount that you will get at the end of 1 year will be the principal plus 4 into the quarterly interest that has been already paid. So the overall income from this version of fixed deposit is 10,530, which is slightly lower than what you would have got if you had allowed the interest to be compounded. Let's look at the third scenario now. We look at the third scenario where we withdraw the money after just 6 months. So in this case, you are breaking the FD and the premature withdrawal clause that was given in the problem statement will kick in. So as per the premature withdrawal clause in the FD agreement that you typically have to sign when you are opening an FD, you will have this scenario in this particular problem. It will vary from bank to bank, but for this particular problem, we have taken it to be like this. The clause said that the interest will be reduced and you will have to pay a penalty also. So if you subtract the reduction in interest as well as the penalty, the total reduction in the interest will come to about 1.5%, and the overall interest that will remain is 3.8%. If you had continued with the FD, you would have got an interest rate of 5.3%, but because of the two penalties that you will have to pay now, your effective interest rate reduces to 3.8%. And the total amount that you will be getting will be simply the principal into 1 plus 3.8 by 100, 4 quarters. That is because you are calculating the interest 4 times per year. 4 also comes here, but the duration is just 1 by 2 because you are taking it out in half an year. So the overall interest and the principal together forms the amount, and the amount that you are getting is 10,190 rupees and 90 paise, which is much lower than what you would have got if you had stayed on till maturity of the FD. Now we will talk about a special type of FD which is called the tax saver FD. This tax saver FDs can be used as a tax saving instrument. This is very useful for people who do not have any other source of investment which they can show for income tax exemptions. So typically what happens is that you can take an FD just before March 31st, that is when the income tax calculations begin to take place. The end of financial year is on March 31st. So you can take a tax saver FD just before March 31st if your total deductions under Section 80C of the Income Tax Act do not reach 1.5 lakh rupees. So typically this is used as a top-up mechanism where you try to bring your total savings up to 1.5 lakhs to get the maximum benefits on income tax exemptions. So you can see that you can deduct the FD deposits made in tax saver FDs for that financial year under Section 80C of Income Tax Act. The maximum amount that you can use is 1.5 lakhs in any financial year. 1.5 lakhs also is incidentally the maximum exemption that you can get under Section 80C as on 2020. Unfortunately, the problem with tax saver FDs is that you have a 5-year lock-in period. You cannot take out this type of FD before 5 years. But like normal FDs, you can get monthly or quarterly payout, or you can allow the interest to remain there and get compounded. One very important thing to note is that the interest earned as a result of investing in tax saver FDs is taxable. Now we go to the next fixed income instrument that is popular in India, which is the post office time deposit scheme. You can see that here. And this is slightly different from bank fixed deposits. We will see how they actually work. This is also referred to as the post office fixed deposit. It's also very safe, mainly because the post office deposits are always guaranteed by the government of India. So unless the post office department goes bankrupt, your complete investment is safe. And post office will not go bankrupt because then the government of India will have to go bankrupt. So you can be very sure that the post office deposits are going to be very safe. The interest rates are typically somewhere in between the bank FD rates and a typical company FD rates. I hope you know that a bank can also offer a fixed deposit, and fixed deposits can also be offered by non-banking financial companies such as say Bajaj Finance, etc. And typically a company fixed deposit is found to be offering higher interest rates when compared to a bank fixed deposit interest rate. That is also because of the reason that a company can go bankrupt much more easier than a bank can. And companies are also able to invest the money collected as FD deposits very quickly into their manufacturing and production and sales, etc. And they're able to turn around the money also very fast. Hence, they are able to offer higher interest rates also. So it works both ways. So typically, the post office time deposit schemes offer interest rates which are in between these two. The other major feature that we should be talking about is that post office time deposits are now openable in banks as well. However, this is not bank FD. Please remember the difference. Post office time deposits are not bank FDs, even though they work very similarly. And the minimum deposit that has to be made is at least 200 and in multiples of 200. You also have 4 tenure options of 1, 2, 3, and 5 years. And 5-year deposits can be used for IT deductions under 80C, just like your tax saver FDs. And typically for post office time deposits, you have different interest rates for different terms. That is, for different tenures, you will get different rates. Typically, the lower tenures give you lower interest rates and higher tenures give you higher interest. Another important feature of post office time deposits is that if you do not want to close the deposit on maturity, it will automatically get renewed with the same term, which means that if you have opened a 2-year time deposit with the post office, and at the end of 2 years, if you do not withdraw that money, the matured amount and everything will automatically be renewed for next 2 years. So you can have this investment in perpetuity as long as you want. Some of the major features include the payability of interest being annually, and another very important feature that you should remember is that there is no interest which is payable on the interest that has become due for payment but not withdrawn. So, what this means is that there will be no compounding of interest. So, if you have earned an interest at the end of 1 year, that interest will be kept separate as it is, and that interest will sit idle without doing anything. So, it will be a good idea for you to get the interest and use it for some other purpose as soon as the interest becomes due. Another thing is, you have a lock-in period of 6 months, and if closed between 6 to 12 months from date of opening, you will only get the savings account interest rates. So if you have a post office time deposit interest of about 6%, which is under normal circumstances, if you have withdrawn it between 6 to 12 months from the date of opening, you may get post office savings account interest which could be less than 4%. So that is a major problem or penalty that you will have to pay under these circumstances. So that's all for today. In the next video, we will be looking at two other fixed income instruments. Till then, keep watching, keep learning.